Now back up in our sky booth, we're joined by Tony Perkins. Welcome to you.
Good evening.
Tony is president of the Family Research Council, a conservative policy group. And what we've been asking everyone we've been inviting to join us tonight is, who are the Republicans right now? Are they what we're seeing in this hall? Are they what we're seeing on the stage? Or is it what we're seeing somewhere else entirely?
All of the above.
Tell me about it.
Well, I mean, the Republican Party is a big party. There's a lot of, as you've seen some of the speakers so far this week, a lot of difference, a lot of diversity in the speakers. But I think it is a party that's coming around an idea, a message, a concern about the future of this country. And I think when they leave here, and we're seeing it happen, I'm also a delegate from my home state of Louisiana. What we're seeing happening is Republicans are coalescing around Donald Trump and his nomination. And I think they want to get behind him and help him make America great again.
Reluctantly? Enthusiastic?
Well, I think it was reluctant coming in because, like myself, I was a Ted Cruz supporter, campaigned with Ted across the country, others with other candidates. But I think the contrast between the two candidates and certainly the party platforms, as we've seen the Republicans adopt a very conservative platform, there's a clear contrast. And I think conservatives are coming to understand they have two choices, Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton.
Tony Perkins, why do you think there's been so much, frankly, it seems like anger, negativity coming from the floor of this convention, the sort of the repeated chants, lock her up, about Hillary Clinton? Do you feel good about that message being so far with the main message of this convention?
Well, I don't think it's the main message. I have heard it. And I have said all along, and I've communicated this to the Trump campaign, is that in the end, we can't scare enough conservatives to the polls with what a Hillary administration would look like. We've got to inspire them with a vision of what America can be again. And I'm looking forward to tonight when Mike Pence speaks, tomorrow night when Donald Trump speaks, to cast that vision of what America can be.
David Brooks?
Now, Trump has been doing pretty well with evangelicals, Christian social conservatives. So I got to ask you, which of the Christian virtues do you think Trump best embodies? Is it humility, grace, charity, faithfulness?
I think what it's come down to, as we were talking earlier about the reluctance, is that a lot of evangelicals were not with Donald Trump in the primary. Some were, but of course it was a very elastic term, evangelical.
Well, he likes to point out that he won the evangelicals.
Well, he actually did not. He got about 40%. 60% did not vote for him. And the term evangelical, when you actually broke it down in the primary, those who went to church on a weekly basis broke for Ted Cruz. So it's a broad term, but to answer your question, I think it's a concern over what's happened in this country in the last 7.5 years, where we've seen a constant drumbeat, a constant attack on religious freedom, whether it's the Little Sisters of the Poor, Hobby Lobby, bakers or florists, that he has stood up to the political correct crowd. And I think the one attribute that has drawn people to him is courage. And that's something that is in short supply in the political class in America today.
But do you think that Donald Trump really cares about social issues? He said he thinks people should go to whatever bathroom they want, although he said it should be left to the states.
Yeah, he walked that back just
He walked it back a little, but it certainly doesn't seem to be in his DNA to really care about the social issues.
No. If you look at what's happened over this campaign, he's made some statements that were out of sync with social conservatives, for instance, on the abortion issue about how women should be punished. No pro-life leader has ever said such a thing. He was approached about that, communicated that's not the right answer. He changed his position. Look, he was not my first choice, but here's where we are. We have a choice between Hillary Clinton. We know what, as social conservatives, we know what her administration would look like, the kind of judges she would pick. He's not spent his adult life thinking about the issues that I have the last 20 years. You ask him how to build a building or get a permit, he could tell you that, but he couldn't tell you about policy issues. But he's listening, and that's a key element of learning. He's listening to people who know. I'm optimistic that he can put together a very solid campaign, and he can attract the support he needs to be successful.
Mark Schutz.
Tony, the platform has been called the most pro-life platform ever written for the Republican Party. and by Susan B. Anthony List, among others. And your own judgment, the mood of the country, there's no doubt about it, on acceptance of gays and lesbians and same-sex marriage has been almost with a velocity unprecedented. I mean, and are we fighting the last war? I mean, really?
20 years they were saying the same thing on the life issue.
No, I don't think everybody said that on life.
Well, you could not get a Republican candidate hardly that would come out publicly pro-life. In this election cycle, of the 17, only one was not overtly pro-life. That issue has made a lot of ground in the last 43 years. It's an issue of that when you talk about a mother taking the life of her own child, it violates nature. The same thing with marriage. That issue is not going to go away with Republicans. And by the way, there was a great piece in Huffington Post today of analyzing the actual language, which I was on the platform committee. I helped write. All the talk about it being anti-LGBT. The Huffington Post said, no, it really wasn't. If you read it, yes, it's pro-natural marriage. It's not anti-LGBT.
But David.
I come back to the character issue. Scripture doesn't say anything about LGBT bathrooms or anything like that. It says a lot about character, and it says a lot about a certain threshold standard of personal decency.
Well, would you suggest to social conservatives that they just stay home and not be involved in the election, given they have two options?
I probably would, as a matter of fact.
Well,
but
I would not.
In the Lewinsky scandal, there was a lot of talk from the Family Research Council and elsewhere that character really was a threat.
Character, there's no question. But I don't have any other. I have two choices before me. I have a choice of Hillary Clinton, which we believe would be a continuation of Barack Obama's administration and the policies. We see the policies she pushed when she was Secretary of State. Did she advance religious freedom around the country? Absolutely not. So we know what we get with her. Were we celebrating Donald Trump in the primary? No, we were not. But he's the other option. I believe that he can get it right if he surrounds himself with the right people. He's pulling some people in. He's listening. I think it's a better option.
The fact that he's invited transgender Caitlyn Jenner as his guest to the convention, is that reassuring to social conservatives?
Look, there is not as some would like to portray, between social conservatives and people who choose a different lifestyle. We're talking about policy. The substantive policy conversations that have taken place have been in terms of what we see in the platform. He's not dissed the platform. In fact, what he's advocated for, and his people even helped pass one of the amendments that I put on the platform regarding the Johnson Amendment, to make sure that churches have the right to fully engage in free speech and speak into the political issue.
Well, we're going to wrap it up there, I think, are we?
I think we are. Tony Perkins coming around reluctantly, but coming around to Donald Trump, and we will see what happens. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us.
Thanks for the invitation.
Very much.
We appreciate it.
Now we're